Right. Ever find yourself glued to those how to pass your CDL videos online, but kind of wish you could, like, dive deeper?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so today we're swapping the clickbait for the real deal.
Love it.
An official CDL manual excerpt, baby.
Let's do it.
We're going beyond just passing the test. You're coming with me to uncover the why behind it all.
It's like the difference between, knowing the moves and like truly understanding the game.
Exactly. And that's what we're here for. So, first thing that struck me, this manual, it doesn't just grade you on, like, acing the maneuvers.
Right.
They're watching your every move, your overall driving behavior. It's like they're really watching you.
Yeah, because that's what sets apart a safe, competent driver, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about like checking boxes. It's about embodying a mindset of safety and responsibility consistently.
Yeah, and like having that awareness.
Yes.
At every step. And get this, if a specific situation, like say a tricky intersection, doesn't naturally pop up on the route, the examiner can ask you to just simulate it.
Oh, wow.
Talk about thinking on your feet.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What's the reasoning behind that, do you think?
I think it's about testing whether you can apply that knowledge to those curveballs life throws at you. Anyone can memorize a rule book, right?
Right.
But a skilled driver can adapt and react safely, even under pressure.
That makes a ton of sense.
Oh,
Okay, on to the maneuvers themselves. We've got turns, sounds simple enough,
sure.
but the manual breaks them down with almost like surgical precision.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
Imagine the difference in handling between like a sedan and a fully loaded tractor trailer.
Oh,
Suddenly, even a basic right turn demands a whole new level of awareness. You're not just turning the wheel, you're maneuvering a significant amount of weight and space.
yeah, you got to think about all the things behind you.
Absolutely.
And like the momentum.
Yes.
They even detail where your hands should be on the wheel. It's like they're like emphasizing control at every turn, literally.
Right.
Is that about preventing like drifts into other lanes?
Yeah.
Especially given the size we're dealing with.
Absolutely. It's about maintaining that like steady, controlled movement, constantly checking mirrors throughout the turn to ensure you're not clipping curbs or worse, other vehicles.
Yeah.
Those mirrors are your best friend.
They're everything. Speaking of awareness, the section on intersections seems to like hammer that home. It's not just about stopping at a red light, is it?
No, not at all. Think about it. Larger vehicles need more time and space to maneuver, meaning you have to kind of anticipate what those around you might do.
Oh, totally.
Are they going to slam on their brakes? Are they going to cut you off? You have to be ready for anything.
And there's that point about yielding to pedestrians.
Yes.
Not just some pedestrians, but any pedestrian.
Every single one.
No exceptions.
No exceptions. It highlights the weight of responsibility that comes with driving a commercial vehicle.
Totally.
The potential consequences of an error in judgment they're magnified. So that heightened awareness is non-negotiable.
Yeah, the stakes are just so much higher.
Excellent.
All right. Moving from those classic maneuvers to something called urban business driving. It sounds almost .corporate.
A little bit, right. But think of it as navigating the urban jungle. Congested streets, tight spaces, pedestrians kind of darting out.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's about testing your ability to handle the stress of city driving while staying laser focused on safety and the rules of the road.
So it's about more than just not hitting anything. It's about keeping your cool under pressure.
Exactly. A calm and collected driver is a safe driver, especially when surrounded by distractions and those unexpected situations.
Now, lane changes,
Okay.
a staple in any driving test. But I'm guessing things get a little more complex with the CDL, right?
Absolutely. It's a simple concept, but the execution requires a deeper understanding of spatial awareness and anticipation.
Right, because it's not just about you anymore.
It's exact. You've got maybe how long is a semi-truck?
Oh, they can be, upwards of 70 feet.
70 feet.
70 feet, sometimes even longer depending on what they're hauling.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you've got this massive vehicle to consider.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame.
The manual mentions the examiner specifically asking for a lane change during the test. It's like they're giving you a heads up to really showcase your mastery of this maneuver.
Right. It's your time to shine.
Yeah.
Show them you can handle it.
What's the key to acing this part, do you think?
It's a combination of technical skill and communication.
Okay.
You're not just changing lanes, you're maneuvering a vehicle that might be longer than some city blocks.
So signaling becomes even more crucial. You're signaling your intentions not just to cars, but to other trucks, motorcyclists, cyclists, anyone sharing the road. Clear communication is key to preventing accidents.
All right, from the stop and go of city streets, let's shift gears, so to speak,
I see what you did there.
to highways and expressways.
Right.
Maintaining a safe following distance seems even more crucial when you're hauling, like, serious weight.
Absolutely. Think about it. Larger blind spots and increased stopping distances require a whole different calculation. Each decision carries more weight, so to speak.
Literally.
Literally.
And then there's the art of merging onto a highway
Yeah.
in a vehicle that's potentially pulling a massive trailer. I imagine that takes nerves of steel.
It does. And it's not just about merging speed. It's about merging this massive, presence
Yeah.
into a flow of traffic.
Yeah. It's like, here I come, world.
I'm here. Exactly.
Speaking of skills that likely take practice, let's talk about something that sounds deceptively simple. Stopping and starting. Is there really that much to it?
More than you might think.
Really?
It's not just about coming to a stop. It's about doing it with a level of precision and control that minimizes risk.
Okay, so walk me through this. What's the big deal about stopping and starting a big rig?
All right. So picture this. You're driving this massive truck, right?
Right.
You've got to come to a complete stop. But it's not just about slamming on the brakes. It's a whole sequence. Pulling over to the rightmost lane or shoulder, engaging the parking brake, putting the vehicle in neutral, turning on those hazard lights.
Okay, so it sounds like a lot of little things that add up to a big difference.
Exactly. It seems excessive for a regular car, right? But in a large commercial vehicle, it's all about safety redundancy. You're minimizing the risk of rollaways, especially on inclines, and making sure you're visible to other drivers.
It's like every little action has these bigger consequences.
And potential consequences, exactly.
And starting up again, it's not just like releasing the brake and hit the gas either, is it?
Not at all. It's about deliberate checks mirrors, blind spot signals, and a smooth, controlled acceleration that doesn't strain the engine or startle other drivers.
It's amazing how these like seemingly basic maneuvers become almost like elevated when you're behind the wheel of a commercial vehicle.
Elevated, yeah, I like that. It's a different level of awareness and precision.
Yeah, like every action has this ripple effect.
Precisely. And that brings us to another set of maneuvers the manual groups together: curves, railroad crossings, and bridges.
Okay, now why would those be grouped together?
That's a great question. What do you think? What do those three things have in common?
Well, they all seem to involve limited visibility and a greater need to judge your vehicle's size in relation to, like, the surroundings.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about understanding how your vehicle interacts with the road, especially in situations where precision and judgment are paramount.
Like knowing the clearance height of bridges and overpasses?
Yeah.
The manual even says you need to be able to tell the examiner those limits. Is that about more than just, like, memorizing a number?
It's about demonstrating that you're not just driving blindly. You're aware of your vehicle's limitations and the potential hazards of exceeding them.
All right, like, I know this truck won't fit under there.
Exactly.
I'm not just going to try it and hope for the best.
And it shows that you're thinking about the safety of yourself and others on the road.
And railroad crossings always make me nervous,
Oh, yeah.
even as a passenger. I'm guessing the stakes are even higher for CDL drivers.
Definitely. And the manual really emphasizes slowing down, listening, looking in all directions, because even if a train isn't immediately visible,
Right.
it might be approaching faster than you realize. And once you're in the crossing, no stopping, no passing, and definitely no shifting gears.
Got it.
It's all about that smooth, uninterrupted movement. You don't want to get stuck in the middle of the tracks.
No, not at all.
Hmm.
It's interesting how they address the possibility of your test route not having all the features.
Oh,
Like if there's no railroad crossing, they might just ask you about it.
exactly. It's about testing that deep knowledge, ensuring that you understand the why behind every action, even if you don't get to physically demonstrate it.
Right. So you can't just like ace it based on the route that you happen to get. You got to know it all.
Exactly. Be prepared for anything.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with these like specific maneuvers.
We have.
But remember how we talked about your overall driving behavior being assessed as well?
Oh, yeah. They're watching everything.
The manual lists things like clutch usage, gear changes, braking.
It's about painting a complete picture of you as a driver, because even something as seemingly minor as smooth clutch control can have major implications.
Really? So it's like every little thing you do in the cab of that truck matters.
Every single thing.
Wow. And that's where things get really interesting to me, like understanding how all these details connect to the bigger picture of responsible and safe driving.
Precisely. It's not just about knowing how to operate the vehicle, but understanding why each action matters.
Okay. So give me an example. Like the manual, it dives into clutch usage.
Mm-hmm.
You might think that's only relevant for manual transmissions,
Right.
but it sounds like there's more to it.
There is. It's about that smooth engagement and disengagement, avoiding jerky movements that can damage the transmission and impact fuel efficiency.
Hmm.
It's a small detail with big implications. And when you factor in the cost of fuel and repairs for these massive vehicles, that smooth clutch control starts to look like a real money saver too.
Right. Suddenly, it's not just about being a smooth operator, it's about being a cost-effective one.
Exactly. And speaking of efficiency, let's talk about gear changes.
Okay, I'm all ears. In my little car, it's all about finding the right gear for the speed limit. But I imagine it's a whole different ballgame in a big rig.
Oh, you better believe it. You're not just shifting gears, you're managing momentum, fuel consumption, and the wear and tear on the vehicle.
And probably keeping whatever you're hauling safe and sound, too. Spilled cargo's not a good look on anyone's driving record.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
No, it's a great example of how, seemingly small details can have like major consequences in the world of commercial driving.
Yeah, the stakes are high. Okay, so from smooth clutch control to seamless gear changes, I'm starting to see a pattern here.
What's that?
It's like every action a CDL driver takes, it's like magnified, impacting not just their own safety, but like the efficiency and even the economics of like the entire operation.
You're absolutely right. And that brings us to another critical aspect of driving behavior that often gets overlooked: braking.
Which like seems like a no-brainer, right? See something in front of you, slam on the brakes.
Well, in a regular car, maybe. But when you're dealing with the sheer weight and momentum of a fully loaded truck, sudden braking can be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's not just your average fender bender we're talking about.
Exactly. Think jackknifing, loss of control situations that can have like devastating consequences. Smooth, controlled braking is crucial, not only for safety, but also for the longevity of the vehicle.
So it's about anticipating those stops, applying gradual and even pressure to the brakes, almost like a mindfulness exercise behind the wheel.
In a way it is. It requires focus, anticipation, and a deep understanding of how your vehicle responds. And speaking of focus, the manual also dives into the importance of lane usage.
Stay between the lines. That's what they always told me in driver's ed.
Right. It sounds simple enough, but in the context of CDL driving, it takes on a whole new meaning. It's about maintaining a consistent position within your lane, accounting for the size of your vehicle and any trailers you're hauling, especially when navigating those tight turns or, changing lanes.
And I noticed the manual is very specific about completing turns in the correct lane, like ending a left turn in the lane directly to the right of the center line.
Exactly. It's all about precision and predictability, because a misjudged turn in a large vehicle, it can cause major traffic disruptions or, even worse, accidents.
So it's about more than just staying within your lane. It's about understanding how your position within that lane impacts, like the flow of traffic around you.
Precisely. You're not just driving for yourself, you're driving for everyone else on the road, too. And speaking of awareness, the manual also stresses the importance of regular traffic checks. And we're not just talking about a quick glance in your mirrors. It's about actively scanning your surroundings, anticipating potential hazards before they become problems.
Because those blind spots in a truck, like those are no joke.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
A car might disappear for a second in your blind spot, but a fully loaded semi-truck can vanish for what feels like an eternity.
Right. It's like they're gone in a flash.
And those checks, they seem even more crucial when you're approaching intersections, right?
Well, for sure.
The manual really emphasizes looking in every direction, left, right, even behind you, because you never know what might be coming your way.
It's like a carefully choreographed dance, isn't it? Coordinating your movements with other drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, everyone sharing the road.
A dance where the music is optional and the consequences of missing a step can be disastrous.
That's a great way to put it. And speaking of communication on the road, let's talk about something that seems so simple, yet is so often misused. Turn signals.
Oh, don't even get me started on turn signals.
I think a lot of people treat them like an afterthought, but when you're driving a vehicle that size, those signals, they become essential, don't they?
Absolutely. They're not just a courtesy, they're a safety feature. They're your way of communicating your intentions to everyone else on the road, giving them time to react and adjust accordingly.
So it's not just about flipping on the signal. It's about timing, consistency, and making sure you turn it off once the maneuver is complete. Otherwise, you're just sending mixed signals, literally.
Exactly. And on that note, let's move on to another fundamental aspect of driving: steering.
Okay, now that's something everyone learns on day one, right? During the wheel, the car goes where you want it to.
In theory, yes. But steering a large commercial vehicle is a lot more nuanced than I think most people realize.
Okay, so break it down for me. What makes it so different?
Well, for starters, you're dealing with a much larger turning radius. It's not like whipping a little sports car around a corner.
Right. You've got to think ahead.
Exactly. You've got to anticipate your turns and make adjustments well in advance. And then there's the whole issue of oversteering versus understeering.
Okay. Now, I'll admit those terms always trip me up a bit. Can you refresh my memory?
Sure. Oversteering is when you turn the wheel too sharply and the vehicle's rear end starts to slide out. Understeering is the opposite, where you turn the wheel, but the vehicle doesn't respond as quickly as you'd like, and you end up going wide.
Okay, got it. And I'm guessing both of those situations are even hairier in a big rig.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you're carrying a heavy load.
So how do you find that sweet spot? You know, that perfect balance of steering control.
It takes practice, a lot of practice,
Mhm.
and a good feel for how the vehicle responds to your input.
I noticed the manual really emphasizes keeping both hands on the wheel at all times, unless you're shifting gears. Why is that so important, especially in a truck?
It goes back to that theme of control and responsibility. Every movement you make in a large vehicle is amplified, so even a slight jerk of the steering wheel can have significant consequences.
So it's not just about knowing where you want to go, but about getting there smoothly, predictably, and in a way that keeps you and everyone else on the road safe.
You got it.
It's almost like, you know, a chess game played out at 65 miles an hour.
I like that analogy. You've got to be thinking several moves ahead, anticipating the actions of other drivers while always being prepared for, the unexpected.
Right, because that other driver might not be playing chess. They might be playing checkers.
Exactly. Or, not even looking at the board at all.
And it's not just about, like, your safety either, right? It's about understanding how your decisions, like, ripple outwards, impacting everyone else sharing the road.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you're part of a larger ecosystem where every action from, a lane change to a tap of the brakes can have far-reaching consequences.
Yeah, it's like a butterfly effect, but with, like, 18 wheels.
Right. It's a level of responsibility that I think most drivers probably don't even consider, which is why the CDL manual is so fascinating.
Totally. And that's what makes this, like, deep dive so fascinating to me.
Mm.
We started with the CDL manual, but we've uncovered so much more than just the, like, technicalities of passing a test. You know what I mean?
It's about understanding the why behind, like, every rule, every maneuver, every decision. It's about, like you said, cultivating a mindset of awareness, responsibility, and, constant learning that extends far beyond just the open road.
You know, for anyone listening who might be feeling, like, a little overwhelmed by all this information,
Yeah.
I want to emphasize that, like, it's a process, right?
Absolutely. It's not about becoming like an expert overnight.
Mhm.
It's about taking that first step, embracing the challenge,
Mhm.
and committing to, the journey of becoming a safer, more aware driver.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, whether you're behind the wheel of, like, a compact car or a fully loaded semi-truck,
Right.
we all share the same goal, which is to, reach our destination safely.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that, my friend, is a destination worth striving for.
Absolutely. To all our listeners out there, keep learning, keep practicing, and as always, never underestimate the power of a deep dive. Until next time, drive safe.